been a while, my friends. It has been a while. And to be fair, if you've been here before, you know exactly what's going on. When the lights are down low and I'm sat here in my bay window, there's a problem. I have a vast, humongous, crazy big collection of fragrances. And in amongst that vast, humongous, crazy big fragrance collection is a section of fragrances which I kind of put into the category of my personal sort of guilty pleasure. And you'll have to pardon the pun on this one, but this really is a guilty pleasure. And these fragrances which I kind of class as my guilty pleasure, how can I put them? They're either extremely weird, extremely wacky, extremely feminine, or extremely not a crowd pleasing kind of fragrance. This particular fragrance, my friends, falls into the extremely weird and not necessarily crowd pleasing kind of fragrance. And this one really, my friends, is a guilty pleasure. You know, I suppose nature teaches us, when you look at something, to kind of judge it by its appearance as to whether it's palatable or not. And I have to be perfectly honest, when you look at this one, it does have a semblance of some kind of nuclear waste. It's a sort of a weird, I'm going to say slightly yellowy green kind of liquid. Here it is, prepare yourselves. Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de PARFUM pour HOMME. And you're going to say, well, like, you know, it's a Gucci Guilty, you know, there's loads of Gucci Guilties, they're all very sort of wearable, they're all sort of okay and nice and, yeah, they are. I have a couple. And whereas this one has maybe a very, very sort of distant, very distant vibe of Gucci Guilty, the overall sort of Gucci Guilty sort of vibe, this one does not follow any kind of particular Gucci Guilty kind of path. I'm going to spray it, and then I'm going to try and explain it. But just before I do that, I could only find it in a 60ml. I'm guessing that's the only size they do, and when we talk about the performance, you'll understand why you only need 60ml of this. I could only find it in 60ml, and here in the United Kingdom, also known as Great Britain, it cost me, after a lot of discounts and codes and whatever, I managed to get it for 68 British pounds. However, I've also seen it on sale for like 115, 116 pounds. So be very careful if you're going to buy this fragrance. Just hang until you get a good price, because good prices on this one are available from time to time. So let's take the cap off. Cap puts up a little bit of a resistance, which should kind of tell you, do you realise what you're doing when you spray this thing? Let's just reveal a little bit of skin. Actually no, I'll put it on the back of my hand. That's all we need. I'm only going to put one spray of this. I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you and say this is not the sort of fragrance that you can just blind buy. In fact, my friends, seriously, if you are considering Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de PARFUM, the bright green, yellow, nuclear waste kind of bottle, if you're considering it, please, please do not blind buy this fragrance. It's a current fragrance. All the different sellers sell it, so please go and sample it, because this one is going to divide the crowd. And when I say that, what's going to happen is you are either going to fall head over heels in love with this fragrance and its weird wackiness, or you're going to hate it. There's nothing in between love and hate with this one. It really is one or the other. Me personally, I love it. I absolutely rate this fragrance, because whilst it is a designer fragrance, I mean Gucci, it's a designer fragrance. This, my friends, is very much in the territory of a niche fragrance. In fact, if I did not know, if someone had sprayed it for me and I had no idea what it was and I'd never smelt it before, I would say this is some kind of weird, sort of wacky, sort of niche brand. This does not go down the route of a designer fragrance. Alright. So it's not a blind buy. It's not particularly a crowd pleaser, although we'll come to that in a minute. And it's not something you would just jump into. Okay, tread very, very carefully. Now, let's just talk about the performance, because the performance is crazy. You have, like I say, I only put one spray on there. It's an extremely oily fragrance. Let me put it for you in sort of layman's terms. You or me, as the wearer, there is no point during the day, and I mean the whole day, say you've sprayed it at sort of 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, there is no point during that whole day that you as a wearer cannot smell it. Okay. I don't go nose blind to this, although it's an extremely powerful fragrance, okay? I can smell it on me all day long, which is, for me, a massive bonus, because sometimes a fragrance is so sweet and gorgeous and strong, you can go nose blind to it. I don't go nose blind to it. You may be different, your nose might operate in a different way, but I don't go nose blind to this one. I can smell it on me all day long. For the first 2, sometimes 2.5 hours, this stuff is projecting off you. Whether you are moving around or not, even if you're just stationary, it is projecting off you. What happened then? We went out of focus. Here we go. And then, for the rest of the day, it is radiating off you. Nice, gentle radiation. On clothes, this goes through a wash and you can still smell it on the clothes. And you're going to say, what washing powder are you using, Leggy? Just a standard wash, dry it, and you can still smell it on those clothes. It's extremely strong, it's extremely long, and it has a real presence. I mean, you walk into a room, and as you walk past people, there's no doubting. They will smell it coming off. It doesn't matter whether it's an hour after you've sprayed it or sort of 6 or 7 hours after you've sprayed it. They will smell it coming off you. In fact, one of the girls at work, I walked past her and she called after me and she said, "Whatever you're wearing, Leggy, it's banging." And you're going to say, "Wait a minute, Leggy, you said it wasn't particularly a crowd-pleasing scent." It depends. It depends on people's perception as to whether it's a crowd-pleasing scent. I suppose that's the same with any fragrance. And I would say that up close, it's really not crowd-pleasing, but in the air, this can be crowd-pleasing. In fact, in terms of a fragrance, it's an absolutely gorgeous fragrance. It's sweet, but it's not sickly sweet. It has a sweetness. It's very, very rich. It smells kind of like it's been designed by a mad brain, okay? And it kind of stands out from the crowd. From all the different sort of ambery, woody, citrusy fragrances, this kind of stands out. In fact, I guess that's one of the main reasons why I like it, because it is a standout fragrance. Although, like I say, it is not for everyone. Now, I haven't looked the notes up. It's not that kind of fragrance that you want to know what the notes are. But let me try and tell you what it smells like, and then you'll kind of understand where we're going on this one. So, if you are familiar with this beast, Parfum de Marly's Pegasus, the original Pegasus, which has a sort of an almondy vibes. It has a lavender sort of vibe. It has a sort of a metallic-y kind of vibe, and it has a vanilla vibe. It's a fairly simple-ish sort of fragrance, and I'm going to say it's not 100% crowd pleasing, but it's very wearable compared to maybe Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de Parfum, which has a high element of Pegasus in it. But it's not just the Pegasus vibe in the Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de Parfum, but when you smell it in the air, in fact, here's the thing. The very first time I wore it at work, my colleague, who is familiar with the Pegasus thing, he came walking into the parts department and he said, "You're wearing Pegasus, lady." So that's how close the Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de Parfum is to this amazing, legendary Pegasus fragrance. But like I say, it's not just Pegasus. So if you're familiar with Pegasus, lock your brain in onto that. Okay, that's the vibe. But take away from Pegasus the sort of metallic-y sort of vibe. Because, and you're going to say that sounds weird. If you smell Pegasus, you know exactly what I mean by a sort of a metallic-y vibe. I think it's the lavender. The lavender is just so strong in Pegasus. It comes across as metallic. But take that out and then put this one in. And you're going to say, "Leggy, that looks like another guilty pleasure." And it is. So Montale's, my Uncle Pierre's Mukhallat. And at that point you're going to go, "Alright, Leggy, we do have a problem there." So Mukhallat, once again, has a sort of an almondy sort of vibe. It has a vanilla-y sort of vibe. But then it has a sort of a very overheated, plasticky sort of rubber kind of vibe. And if you look back through Guilty Pleasures on this channel, you'll come across a full review of Mukhallat by Uncle Pierre. That's another one that seriously divides the crowd. You're either going to love it for its ridiculously wackiness, or you're going to hate it for its weird sort of burnt rubbery plastic sort of vibe. But if you were to sort of combine Pegasus and Mukhallat, combine those two, you kind of end up with this Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de PARFUM pour Homme. You're going to say, Leggy, I was with you all the way until you said it had got the sort of burnt rubbery plastic kind of vibe. It also has a very sort of oily sort of, it's so difficult to describe. See, I like a fragrance which is difficult to describe. You know, if a fragrance is so straightforward, you know, you've got your citrus, you've got your sort of vanilla and your woods, it's kind of like it's easy to understand and it's easy to wear. But when a fragrance really sort of stumps you for quite how to describe it, and when you do describe it, people just go, that does not sound good. Crazily, that's my kind of fragrance. I say I haven't looked the notes up on this one, but I'm guessing there's a lot of lavender in there. I'm guessing there's some kind of plants which are sort of like oily sort of plants. I'm guessing there's some vanilla in there, and I'm guessing there's some kind of warm, rubbery, plasticky note. I don't know what you'd call it. Oh, it's crazy. So in terms of the performance, it could be a problem. And you're going to say, Leggy, you said it was amazing performance. It is. But if you do not like this fragrance, you've not just got to wash your hands, you've got to scrub your hands, because it sticks like glue. Performance, if you enjoy this fragrance, blows you away. Performance, if you do not enjoy it, it's going to upset you. So, for me personally, I don't wear this too often. I sort of save it for those occasions where I just kind of feel weird. And you're going to go, Leggy, that's most of the time. Alright, calm down, there's no need for that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're right, I am kind of weird. So, Gucci Guilty ELIXIR de PARFUM pour Homme is not for everyone. It really, really isn't. Please do not blind buy it. Go and sample it and try it. And perhaps just don't sort of spray it at the fragrance counter on your hand and go, no. Come back to it later on. It does change a little bit. I'm going to say it becomes slightly less weird. No, it doesn't become any less weird. It does change a little bit, but you know, your brain normally expects to have a citrusy burst at the start and then maybe a woody vanilla dry down. This isn't that kind of fragrance, whereas the other Gucci Guilties are kind of like a woody sort of fragrance, nice and sweet. This has a sweetness, but it's not your normal kind of sweetness. I massively enjoy it. And if you're watching this and thinking, Leggy, mate, you've gone on for nearly 20 minutes talking about this fragrance and you've got it, please thumb me up. Please just click on the old thumbs up or drop me a comment and say, Leggies, you're right about this one. It's not for everyone, but I enjoy it because of X, Y and Z. Please drop me a comment. Or if you've gone and you've sprayed it and you've tried it and it's repulsed you, because I say it's going to be love or hate with this one, also drop a comment and say, Leggy, I do not like it because of this, this and this. I'm going to love you and leave you now. I'm not far off sort of heading for bed, but just consider a few things. Thumbs up if you will, comment if you would. Please come back for the next one, because it won't necessarily be a guilty pleasure, but it will be a fragrance review. And the more we talk about fragrances, the more fragrance gets into our brain cells, the more we automatically pick up a fragrance and we spray it. And you know what? As weird and as wonderful as this is. See, to some people this would just be downright weird. To me, it's weird and wonderful. Let me just do it. This is what I want you to do with a fragrance every single day. You really don't, mate. You do not need any more than 3. Oh, 3 sprays of this stuff. I'm literally, I'm in a cloud of weird yellow green liquid that's everywhere. I'm going to go now. And you're going to say, Leggy, it's about time you turn this off. Alright, let me turn it off. Let me see you next time. Stay safe, keep spraying, and a hearty goodbye.